Hello everyone, it's the Borg MT from the room, here to give you guys another little video majigger. Yeah, so today I kind of wanted just to go through my strategy, or strategies now, because I kind of trade the same strategy all the time, but I've made some alterations to it, and I just want to go through and share exact examples of how I do it. Now, this isn't a live trading video. I plan to do one sort of like what JazzFran did earlier, but at the moment I am just doing a little video for you guys just to, have some fun and show you guys kind of what I do, because, I have a lot of fun doing this. I have fun hanging with you guys, and kind of this is what I want to show you to give you some tools to help out just everybody overall. So yeah, here's my video. So the first thing I want to go over is some of the tools that the room has that we don't really pay too much attention to, I guess would be how I want to put that. So like one of the major tools that I like, that I think that we should go over first off, would happen to be like this, which is this website. We have the sound page, we have all these different tools that MT gives us that most of us forget about or never even knew about. So the first tool I'd like to bring our attention to happens to be this this one that'll tell us the news, because when MT goes and says, hey, there's a 3 bull number, most people are like, I don't know what that is. So Ghost showed this off in his recent video, or recent whatever, and so what you go to is you go over to the same place you get your sound, at the sound page here. You go over to My Tools and you go to the calendar and more. Here you get this page, and you'll notice that it's completely blank if you're using Chrome as I am. So what you have to do is you have to go up to this little thing, load the unsafe scripts, or rather the things that'll make you money, and there you go. So here we are with the economic calendar, right? So you're just like, well, that's useful, a bunch of Sunday 1 bull reports. But yeah, so what then you do is you go over here, and I want to show you guys July 11th, just because I put that in the random number generator, and that's the day I got. So I do that, and then you can also adjust your time here. This investing.com is pretty brilliant at all this. I personally am on Central Time, but I'm going to want to go with Eastern Time because that's syncing with the room a little bit more. So here we are, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to look for our session, which on MT's clock here happens to be the 9 o'clock session through the 11:30 session, right? So I just go over here and I say, okay, here we are, 8:55. Now let's look to 11:30 here. Do we have any 3 bull numbers? Answer, yes. We have this jobs opening May report for the US dollar. So that could be a major move on all the pairs. Okay, so we're going to ignore what the actual data came in at, okay? Because here's the last one, and here's the predicted one, and here's the actual one. But since the actual one hasn't come in yet, quote, come in yet, then we should be looking out for this 10 o'clock 3 bull number. So you probably figured this out a night ahead, as I do. I always look a day ahead on my trading, just for the 3 bull numbers, because I now have a strategy that trades those. That's JazzFran's method. I'm still fine-tuning and demoing it, so I'll give you guys an update on that one soon. But in the meantime, look at this chart. Just look a day ahead, and that's about it. So we're good. We're still recording, right? Okay, good. Goodies. Okay, now let's gonna go over here, and what do I do next? So the next thing I do is I like to look at the long-term charts. So here is the July 10 PM chart, and so this is just like the previous day, gives you a pretty good impression. So let's pretend like the AM chart hasn't come out yet, and we're just gonna look at the PM chart, because this gives you a good day ahead bias. So I look at this chart, and what I'm mainly looking for on the 4 pairs, here, 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 and way over here on the UC. Don't know why they're not all in order, but alphabetics or something. Yeah, okay, no, it's not. Anywho, can't complain. The long-term charts are pretty awesome. So what I'm looking for mostly is I like to look at the 4-hour charts primarily. And so here we are on the 4-hour chart, and I see, okay, what kind of trend am I seeing overall? Well, we have an uptrend on the daily. I'm not really paying too much attention to the weekly, just because, trend-wise, I'm going to be looking more at the dailies, and particularly the 4-hour. So I look at this 4-hour, and I'm like, okay, we got a little bit of a trend down, so we could be seeing downs here. This is the EU over here. We're kind of flat, but it looks like we have some strong bias to the upside, particularly if you look over here. And then you go over to this like other chart over here, on the UJ, and then you're just like, okay, we got a pretty strong uptrend over here, and then we go over to the UC and you're like, okay, this looks like a strong downtrend. That's about all you need for bias. If you don't know how to use this chart or look at it, well, that would be weird anyway, but you can use the C-Trader chart like I'm doing here. This is my fake C-Trader account since I'm an American and I cannot trade C-Trader, so I just got this demo account because C-Trader is pretty awesome. And I can also look at these charts to give a general overall bias of what's going on. So I'm pretending, once again, this is a 4-hour chart back there. Don't pay attention to these are my indicator that I just look out for this kind of stuff. But you can see on the GU we're in a little bit of a downslope, and this is pretty much where we're at. As you know, the chart extends further out that way, but just faking it to look realistic. So we got a little bit of a downtrend, and MT's charts are pretty good at this, but I like C-Trader. You can take away whatever, use what indicator you want. Just look at the charts. The candle pattern is the important part. You can see uptrend over here on the EU. You look at the UJ, pretty strong uptrend, maybe a little leveling off here. And you look at the UC over here, pretty strong downtrend, probably going to continue down. So this is like what I do the previous night. So like right before I go to bed, just so my dreams are about Forex, I just look at these charts and I'm just like, okay, probably down, probably up, and probably down. Now this is completely unnecessary. It's just me being prepared, and that's kind of what I like doing. So now we're going to go, and it's going to be the morning of, and so we're going to look at the new chart on this. So when it comes out at 8:30, here's our new chart. What are we seeing? Well, we're seeing a pretty continual bias on the GU to the downside, some new ups on the EU. UJ is about the same, but a little bit up. UC over here, a little bit up. I mean, we have a 3 arrows, but we're also running into some stuff. So we may be seeing it down, particularly with that 10 o'clock report. So, I mean, here we are back on the Forex news. You look back here and you're like, okay, 3 bull number coming up at 10 o'clock. Let's make sure to look out for that. Once you have all your stuff here with the news, just so you know, okay, 10 o'clock, I don't want to be in too many open trades, or I'm going to trade that Jazz Fran, new, like, put the stop limit orders and stuff like that. Well, not stop limit orders, whatever. You put in the limit orders on both sides of it and trade that way, particularly with the 3 bull numbers. So I'd look at that. Just check that out if you're interested. I'll make a video on that later down the road. But let's say, okay, we got all of everything. Now it's time to look at our charts. So here we are. I'm doing this off an external hard drive, so I'm going to need to wake it up here. Okay, it's buzzing on. So here we are. Okay, so it's, we still got the chat roll over here. So anyway, we got this nice room. We just entered here just right at 9 o'clock, and we're like, okay, let's get some trades in. So I'm going to say hello in the chat roll in a minute, but at the moment, I just want to get my bias clear. So there are 2 main things I'm looking for when determining my bias. I'm looking for 1 and 4 hour correlating signals, and I'm looking for a nice 5 and 15 trend. Okay. So when it comes to looking at these pairs, let's take a look. So first thing I'm going to look for is I'm going to look for this trend bias. Okay, that's the first thing every time. So here we are, and I'm going to see where the lines are. So we have gold above this orange. This is down here. This isn't really relevant. I mean, this is relevant if you want to keep your trade in for longer periods of time, I notice. But if basically for the room bias, if you're just looking for a couple pips, you look here, you look here. Now these two are not quite in the same territory, but they're probably going to be. So I would be looking for downs on the trend here on the GU. If I go over here on the EU, see we got a nice up here. We got a nice up here, barely, but it's still an up, so that's good enough. So we're looking for ups here. On the UJ here, we got a nice up road here and a nice up over here. So we're looking for ups. We're on the UC, we got an up over here, and we got an up over here, so we're also looking to the upside. That's just my initial trending bias. That's how I see it. After you look for that, you want to look for particulars on, do you have a 1 and 4 hour? And what I mean by that most of the time is I like Jazz Fran's system, particularly of look for a 4 hour on the current candle. That's what I'd be looking for first. So the only one that has that is down here on the UC. As you can see, this nice little red. It may go away. It may stay around. I haven't seen this day since July 11th, or maybe I've traded, this session a couple times, since then, but I don't remember the day. So here we are. So we're looking for downs over here. We have a pretty strong signal bias, okay, to the downside. So that's kind of a bonus on it. I don't really care as much if the signals aren't on the current candle. On the 1 hour, I don't particularly care, but on the 4 hour, I prefer if the arrow is on the current candle. I'd also prefer, if I was going to take this one down just based off the arrows, that this would be further away from this nice support line, but that's not really important. So I kind of want to just get to the point here, which is this is going down, in my opinion. That's my bias. And so after that, I'm looking for pinks, okay? Because the key to all my strategies, the key basically to what I see as Jazz Fran strategy for those who don't understand it yet or don't really grasp it, the key to it is really the pinks, okay? Maybe I'm just a girl at heart or something, but I love the pinks, okay? I dream in pink now because pink arrows are my thing. Now, the reason I say that is because yellows are very strong. Yellow-reds are very strong, as you can clearly see. But pinks are just the ones I consider to be the best with the trend kind of signals. So, as I said, here's the bias. Also, my hard drive fell asleep, so I'll have to wake that up. Okay, so down, up, and up. Now this one's a little confused. We may not see it go up, we may see it go down more, but at the moment this is an up bias. So now we're going to be looking for pinks to the upside, okay, until 5 minutes before 10 o'clock. At which point we're going to be trying to get out of those trades just to begin with. So, as I said, not a live video, so I'm going to click forward here a little bit. First thing, we're going to look for pinks, okay? So if we go and we just start looking for pinks, what I'm basically looking for, to explain it as, like, I'm going to use this little fishing metaphor I just thought of. If you're going to go fishing, okay, in a boat, so you're just going to go out and, go fishing somewhere, right? You get in your boat, we'll say you want to exercise, so you're going to kayak out in your boat. You kayak out in the middle of the lake, and then you put down your anchor, because you need the anchor to just stick in your fishing spot. So basically, in my way of seeing it, since I'm not Jazz Fran, I'm not that kind of genius quite yet, the pinks are my anchors, okay? So when I see a 5 pink, I notice these are my anchors. So I'm not really looking to take this UC up, even off this signal, because this signal's probably going to win. But what I want is a nice one of these, okay? And once I get a nice one of these, especially when it closes, when you get this nice trending signal, particularly if the 15's with you, I'll explain how to do open TPs and like close TPs up to support here. But basically the way this works is when you see a 5 pink signal, if you want to make sure that these are going to go with you, you can wait till the signal closes. And even after that, you can take nice trades to the upside. Let's see if I can find an example here. So we're looking for ups here, and ups here, and downs here. Well, not quite yet, since this hasn't crossed over, but we're going to see. Julian's blues can be powerful. So we're just going to keep watching. We're going to jump a couple minutes ahead. So as you can see, we got this pink here. Is it going to pan out? You're against some strong signals. You could take this. You may end up moving the stop loss, possibly, but we'll see. That's just my initial gut feeling. Okay, it may go up. Boom, it goes down. Just a little bit of retracement there. We got this signal over here. I mean, this video would be a lot better if I did this live, but, I'm not quite ready to show you guys that. It'll be a little hectic. But I'll do that in the future. Okay, so here we go. We'll say we got in this trade. It's gone against us. You move the stop loss or don't, depending on the case, and, probably going to go back up. We have a strong signal to the downside here, not quite getting me out of that trade. Okay, so we're going to go forward a little bit more. Another arrow here. We're not seeing anything on the UC, so I'm staying out of it at the moment. We're waiting for 10 o'clock on this chart as well because we know it's going to be a 3-bull number. 10 minutes forward. Okay, here we are. So, excuse me. So if we go back to when this pink arrow came in here, this is a perfect example. This trade right here. So as soon as we have this arrow close, because you can take the signal as soon as it comes out, that's actually a really good trade to do. But if you want to be very sure of yourself, you can wait for this arrow to close. And you'll notice arrow closes, you get some green momentum, you can take your 5 pips to the upside easily. Now, I wouldn't really consider this an open take profit trade until I have a correlating arrow up on the 15. I've noticed when the 15's even like a red and it's 4 candles back, you can usually ride these from like down here up to the resistance lines or vice versa in a down case. But anyway, when you just have a 5-minute signal, I'd take the 5 pips. You can stretch it for 10 sometimes, but like most of the time, just take the 5 pips. So you wait for your 5-minute pink, you take your 5 pips, right? Also, if you're Jazz Fran, you can use this as an anchor once it closes. So once this trade closes, or this trade as well, particularly this one I like in this case. So once this trade closes here, whenever you get a nice green flash of momentum or a nice signal, we might get one coming up here in a second. Whenever you get some green momentum, you can take this trade to the upside. Now, if you're concerned about doing that exactly, you can just wait for an open take profit trade that I'll show you in a minute, and I'll show you how to do that particularly. But at the moment, we're just looking for the trade. You can take these signals to the upside. They generally have a lot of success. If you're very cautious about this, you can wait for it to bounce off the purple band. But generally, I've noticed these signals work. Okay. The market also moves in waves, so you wait for it to go, all the way up here, hits it, and then you come down, and then you have this green here. Now, this is what I'm talking about. When you see this red here, this could be a potential open take profit trade to the upside. Now, we're concerned because it is past 9:30. We're getting closer to 10 o'clock, but we're going to see when we're going to wait for that bridge to, wait to cross that bridge when it comes. Anyway, when you see these nice trades with green momentum, you can take them to the upside. Not saying it won't be somewhat risky. You need to understand Jazz Friend's strategy, but that's what I use. I use a pink anchor, and I'm waiting until I get like a super arrow against me, and then I'm going to wait for another pink before I'm willing to trade Jazz style again. So I'm waiting. We're keeping an eye on the clock. You can just you're gathering some pips here, just taking 3 or 5 pips. I recommend taking 3 at first if you don't understand the strategy yet. You see there's a nice red who's closed here. This is going to be a good up trade, but wait, it could be 10 o'clock soon, right? Okay. As well on the UJ here, perfect example on this UJ if the news wasn't about to come out. But see, on this UJ right here, we have a pink here, we have a red here, and it's with this trending thing. I like this. I would be willing to take this up to this resistance level. Okay, now I just really like this trade. I would take this to the upside. I would take these pinks for 5, and I would probably take Jazz Friend trades for 3 just to practice up on it. But this is really the kind of trade I'm looking for to the upside on open take profit based on the trend. Like, I don't even care about the arrows in this case, but they're kind of bonuses. I just care about this guy, I see this going up. We got our nice pink signal, we got a 15 correlating with it. You might want to wait for it to close, you might not even care, just take the trade. Now what you're going to look for, though, is 5 minutes before. So you might just take this for your 5 pips, and you're getting close to 10 o'clock. Okay, you won that trade. There's a little thing there. Okay, so it's close to 10 o'clock, and you're just like, okay, it's close to 10 o'clock, right? So what am I going to do? As you can see, we never got a good bias on the UC. Actually, we did. Let's go back. When we got the 1 and 4 hour correlation here, did we get it in time for this arrow? Because usually things change on the shorter time frames first. As you can see, we have a nice down. See, this is perfect. So, you got this nice down over here, down over here, down over here, down over here. This fits the equation definition as well as a reversal trade. But in this case, if you got a super arrow, just generally, this trade's going to work. Now, I'll talk more about the equation. If you have not seen the equation video, see it. If you log into the sound page when the room's not open, you can just watch that video. It has like 27 likes and no dislikes for a reason. The equation is magical, but Anywho, this also technically fits my definition of a 1 and 4 hour correlating thing, which I made some videos on. So basically, I see the 1 and 4 hour correlation. This isn't really a pink. I generally like yellows almost as much as pinks if they're super arrows, but that's kind of beside the point. So you see this, you could choose to take this. Not entirely with the system, but I would take this trade, okay? Just gonna say that. It's easy to say after the fact, but not exactly a before the fact case. So we're up to 10 o'clock. Let's see if I got the footage right. Okay, it's 10 o'clock, right? 10 o'clock is here. See, 10 o'clock. So this is the 3 bull number, as we saw from earlier on this calendar. And you're like, okay, calendar time. Here's the chance. Here it is. Jobs are coming out. What are we going to do? We're going to have jobs? We're not going to have jobs? Who cares? Wrong thing. Okay, so here you are, and you're like, oh, I'm just going to keep taking this EU trade. Forget it, guys. Get out of your trades, okay? Or hedge them. Ghost is brilliant at hedging his trades. I don't know. Ghost is just like, he's super awesome, okay? Ghost, you're awesome. Just need to reiterate that. Especially risk management, I completely agree there. Okay, so here we are. We get this you know, you may be riding this, maybe you even wrote it up to this point. I would have gotten out like a couple minutes earlier, and then you're just like, okay, what's going to happen? So you wait for the news, or you take your trades, then, you know, what happens, right? Oh, looks like it's going up, and what happens? We're still getting some aftershock apparently, and there it is. Here's your move. So this is where you'd want to have your trade in. So maybe this went up a little too much. Maybe this wasn't the perfect Jazz Fran example of how he trades this, but this is how I see this working out in the future, at least, is when you have this move happening, you have the trades on both sides, it hits your little 10, and you ride it all the way down to here, and you get out of the trade. Okay, that's just how I see it. You also have this UJ that went all the way up to here, you know, get out of it. And you could protect this trade by hedging it, or you could just move the stop loss, but you never know how much these guys are going to hurt, so I say look out particularly for the 3 bull numbers. In the meantime, as you may notice, we're starting to get some good bias signals here. Got a nice pink to the downside here. It's actually closed, so you could consider taking this trade. Now, I know, it's against Julian's blues. And Julian, I love your blues. I'd like to find a better way to trade them because they're just freaking epic. They might be like the key to taking 1,000 pips on all the long terms all the time, but still working on that system. Got some systems in the workshop at the moment, you know. Because, I mean, what else are you going to do in your class lectures for college, right? Besides think about trading, because trading's my life now. Yeah, so much fun. Anywho, so we're seeing this trade. You could have taken this trade with Jazz Fran system, gotten it up to the upside. I'm still working on that, but anywho. So this pink performed, as you can see. This guy performed well, and you're going to be waiting for something because after this news move, it's probably just going to return exactly to where it was before on such a small move, especially when it's against this trend. So I'd be looking to take this back to the upside. I'd be looking to take this down, maybe even against Julian's blues, you know. I mean, it closed, you get some red momentum, why not? I wouldn't take this multiple times probably because we're very close to this level. That's one other thing I notice about Jazz Fran is he likes to take these trades up to this nice purple band on the 15 because BB, amazing, just amazing that 15-minute chart because it is freaking epic, okay? But still, clear strategy here is basically, just to reiterate, I look at this nice chart here, that gives me my trend, I look for pinks, and then I look to take those. And you can trade 3 possible systems here, okay? Basically, 3 possible systems. 1, you just take 5 pips off this trade. 2, you wait for this nice guy to come in, and I like these when the 5-minute pink comes after this, okay? This trade doesn't work because we don't have 5-minute pink after it. But anyway, I'll show you an example. I'm sure we'll get one. Anywho, that's another example is an open take profit from here all the way up to here. Well, it's not really open take profit, but it's a 2 like purple band 15 take profit. You can also just wait for it to come back into the road in this case to take it up. You can do that on this 2-minute chart. I can show you examples of that, probably more in future videos, but that's also what I'm looking to do. As you can see on the UC bias, it's pretty unclear, particularly since these signals are still working to the downside. But you could consider this trade to the upside if we get strong enough like momentum and this is clear that this is actually still an up. Okay, so we're just going to keep watching to see what happens because I got no clue. As I said, this is a good enough trade to the downside. You might consider taking it, or you might just wait till here. You could take this trade now, particularly with this red arrow showing up there. Now I know you say 1 in 4 hour correlation against you. This is a rough trade, but I believe enough in it to see that it's going to work. Okay, that's just me. You got to trust what you're doing. So you're waiting, and you're like, okay, see, we got this nice up move here. The 5-minute pink is still technically in control. You could look out for these blues because they're rough. Did we get that 15-minute pink just to show up there? I feel like I must have skipped something. No, it was already there. Okay, so yeah, you could take these trades to the upside off moves like this. Once again, I do need to do a live video on that. Now you could easily take this trade to the upside, okay? Wait for a nice price on it. Take your 3, 5 pips, whatever, Jazz Fran style. Just bounce up and down, up and down. I mean, if you wonder how people can score 44, 0 on a really low day, this is how I would look to do it, okay? I just look for a pink. Once you have your pink, particularly when it closes, just take your 5-minute trending pink, get your pips out of that, and then wait for it to come back, take it up. Okay, so we're looking on these pairs continually. Okay, so that was a threat on our GU trade. You could see it's not really winning yet. This trade could easily end up losing. Maybe it won't, though. We're going to find out, Because, I mean, this is risky against Julian's Blues being so close to this level. Still, you never know if this trade's going to work out. So you keep watching. We have a nice pinky here. You see this pink? Now I really like this pink. And you might say, why do you like this pink, particularly this one? Because you're going against this really strong pink red here, and you're going against this thing here. But it's like, guys, remember, our bias is up. We have this strong upside. We have this. It's a perfect setup. You take your 5 pips here. But also, I take this trade to heal. Okay? I mean, what price are we at currently? 405? Well, I'm looking to take this up since this level is at 415. Now, I'm going to bet that it's going to go through that level. Okay? I might take this trade up to 415. So I would just change my take profit to 415. Okay? So, yeah. You also have this trade here to the upside. Don't look to take a trade when you have 2 blues. This is a very good indicator to go down. As you can see, our trade here on UC did very well. But when you get a new 5-minute pink, it's tough to call. Okay? When you get a new 5-minute pink, don't look to trade it. Okay? As you can see, a little bit of trade down there. You could try to trade this. Jazz fan probably would. I just stay away. As you can see on our EU, we've almost touched that level of 415. There it is. We broke it. 415.1. There it is. We got our take profit. Maybe we're out of this trade. Look for another 5-minute trending pink. You could take this trade. It's very risky, though, when you're at this level. Okay? But if you get some green momentum, why not? It might go for more pips. As you can see, this trade actually wins. But it's possible that, I mean, you got to look at your long term sometimes on those to make that call. As you can also see, this 5-minute trending pink also won. Since we never actually got a really good trade here, also, well, I mean, since it was at the support level, this is why you'd only take it for 5 pips, okay? Now, you could have maybe gotten a little more out of that. I'm not sure the exact. Yeah, 5 seems pretty good out of this one, so. I mean, you take your 5 pips or something. Wait, is that 10? Yeah, okay, fine. You might have been able to get 10 out of this one. I would only take 5, but that's just me. So there, we got that. We got this trade up to this side. We got this UC trade. It may or may not based on what's going to happen. But, when you're going against blues, I find it's a rough call. When you have this, you can look for an anchor. So I'd look for this trade to close, for this candle to close, okay? And then you might consider taking this up, right? You might. But you've also got this guy comes in, okay? Goes back to the downside. And that's the risky part, is particularly when you're at this level. Because these bands work, okay? The BB bands work for a reason, and BB scores on this for a reason. Do I know exactly how she does it particularly? I mean, Mosh Pepper's pretty much BB now. But I mean, at the end of the day, do I know exactly how this works? Not 100%. I mean, I'm pretty close, because I think the key to BB strategy, just because I want to say this, is that it's the 15-minute particularly. Because I notice on the 15, what you're looking for is, as she explained in the document, the most useful information is you look at this 15, not just to the point of the road, but also the last arrow. So if you got a road up and you have this, you may look to take it up. You could take this trade down. I don't know if she would do that, but it seems like a trade that BB would be in on. Does this look like a ton of fun? Yes. Is it risky for a newbie? Yes. If you're going to learn anything about BB strategy, you probably want to start with learning first how Jazz Fran does this thing with this pink anchor technique that I just gave you. And so I would look to do that first, and then maybe if you get good enough, you won't even need that. You'll just be able to look at these lines and take them off momentum, and eventually not off momentum, and then maybe eventually you can go against it. Maybe we're all going to be, BBs in our sleep. We'll just get up 9 o'clock in the morning, sit there, and just be like, oh, I just made 50,000 pips or something. I just did this crazy thing, and I just trade all the time, and now I can do whatever I want, because I believe we all have that potential. Still, as I was saying, we're just, it's 11 o'clock. You often see reversals at this time, so wouldn't be surprised on that. Also, since you get a super arrow here, you probably do not want to take this up. I'm not saying that it's not going to work. This could easily be a great trade to the upside. I just like to have a pink anchor as my last super arrow, okay? So like this guy, I mean, this trade up right here worked, okay? Maybe you could say that this, like, you had good proof that it was going to work. I mean, you probably did. I might even take this trade against my own rules, maybe. But at the end of the day, I'd say follow the rules on this one, and you'll get like 10 trades a day. Most of them will go for 5 pips. Some will go for 10. Some will go, if you're on a good day, way more than that. And if you haven't seen on the website, there's this nice thing called 10 pips. If you go down to tips and guides, Yeah, down over here. There are a lot of really useful resources, but you got 10 pips. Take a look at that. Also, how long is this video going on? 29 minutes. What am I doing? I am ruining all your guys' lives. Okay. Sorry I had to blabber on for that long, but I'm going to try to finish it up right here because I think what I need to say here is important. So, you may see the reversal, you may not. It's not particularly important. You see this UJ going back to the downside. You know, we got this nice guy over here. You may consider that 1 in 4 hour correlation. You'll also notice 1 in 4 hour correlation against the trend usually only tends to take it here. It doesn't tend to last forever most of the time. As you can see, this is a very strong trade to the downside. We also got this new 4 hour here. So you could look to get into this trade, you know. You even got this blue here. You could look based off these nice signals here. I mean, this is a worthy trade to the downside. Honestly, if you have a 1 hour and a 4 hour, if the 4 hour is on a previous candle, you know, just like one back, and the 1 hour is also there, that's good enough for me, okay? JazzFran really likes to have it on the current candle. I prefer it on the current candle, but that's not really, it's not to say that's the only thing, okay? Yeah, excuse me. Okay, so let's wrap this up. At the end of the day, we're going to look back over what was done and what was not done. If I've been a trending pink, take it up, it wins. Okay. Still a little bit risky, but you know, this is a really strong uptrend. You got your 1 in 4 hour signals on pinks there. Really good trade, you know? I mean, you could ride this from here to here. The problem is you don't know when it's going to go from here to like here and when it's going to go from here to like here, you know? As in like when it's really going to turn around. I guess maybe I've gotten kind of an intuitive feel for some of that, but at the end of the day, this is a scientific kind of system. I've used the scientific method of just gathering data, repeating it, and just testing it over and over again because I like 90% and not 70%. That being said, it's the end of the day, okay? So there we are, you know, a little over time, and MT is out. Now, we're going to look back over it. What was our original bias and what happened? We were biased down here. The trade was indeed down. We only got maybe one trade out of that. If you were JazzFran, you know, you probably knew it was going to go a little bit lower, so you probably got like 50 trades out of that, particularly if you love the pound so much. Over here on the EU, I mean, I can just see everybody love this trade because I love this EU so much. My favorite pair of this day, and usually EU and I don't always get along. But if you notice throughout the entire day, this major up move happened after this news event. So you stayed out of the news, you know, and it's 10 o'clock. I mean, this uptrend was already going, so what am I talking about? But I mean, after this uptrend was a great entry point, because you can try to get in any time on the trend, but, you know, like this was a perfect kind of entry point to the upside. As I said, you know, when you have it correlating with the previous arrow here, and you have this nice 1 hour and this 15, 1 hour 15, let's point to the right charts here. You know, once you have that, then, you know, this is a great trade. I mean, same thing here. This trade was really good to the downside. This trade over here, great to the upside. So our bias was up, it went up. Our bias on UC was up, and what exactly happened to the UC? I don't know. It was a bit confused because we had some really serious signals to the downside. We got in on some of those trades, you know. As I said, I explained the one trade, this trade right here, how I wanted to get in on this trade, and we could take that trade based on the equation or based on the system. But the upside, as you can see, clearly had a lot of merit to it. So you're waiting for your up signals, and there you go, you know, like here. This is a great signal to the upside. And guess what? You're going against 1 in 4 hour correlation. But at the same time, these signals are powerful. Throw in a blue on top of that, and I would say this signal is going up to here. And if you don't believe me, test this on demo or test this at 10 cents a pip, and you'll notice that so much of the time, look, it just goes straight up to here. And I think this is the most valuable thing, is you wait for this to come back down to here and you take it up. Maybe it's exactly like BB, except I'm only looking to trade with the trend here, and I'm doing it on the 15-minute kind of time period. So I'm looking just to, you know, say, oh, we're hitting the band on the 15, it's time to go up here. Hitting the band on the 15, time to go up here. Because as you see, the market moves in waves and whatever. Going down and, nope, going back up. Now, this won't happen all the time, but what you really need to look out for is look out for the news. So you look at your charts. Let's go through this all just like one last time, because repetition of information. First thing I do right before I go to bed, just to make sure my dreams are properly on the right subject, besides putting on some affirmation tapes and audio copy of Think and Grow Rich. I listen to that every night. Maybe I'm a nut, maybe I'm not, but I find it really, really useful because I love that book. First thing I do after I kind of set all that stuff up, I look at my computer one last time. I say, okay, here's my PM charts. I took my trades on these already. I'll explain my system for long-term trades a little bit in the future, but I got generally what I'm looking for, so I'm like telling my subconscious what I'm generally going to be looking for the next day. Maybe I just give myself a feel for the markets. Otherwise, I mean, I just look at these charts. So I just look, okay, you know, like here's some charts on all these pairs to give me a general feel for it, right? So I just look at these just like, you know, on my C-Trader kind of account thing. So after I've done all that, then I look at this news event. So I look at all the news events for the next day. So I'm like, okay, what do we got? You know, oh, we got some two bulls here, and we got, you know, whatever, you know, here. Oh, okay, here's our session. Here's this, you know, big move that might happen or might not. As you can see, this was worse than expected, but potential volatility here. So, you know, I remember that 10 o'clock. Write it down. Next day, you get in, you just like, you look at the news maybe, just to remind yourself of that, not really necessary. You look at the new chart here, give yourself a feel for what's going to go on based on the 4-hour particularly. Once again, you look at these charts, see if anything's changed on these. Don't worry about any of this stuff, that's not important, just look at the candles here. I use this kind of stuff. I'm not going to talk about it here, but just look at the candles, look at the candle pattern on this to explain kind of what you're going to be looking for as in terms of a general trend if you want to get ahead of the bias, basically. Then when you get in the room, what I look for first, I want this 1 hour and this 15 minutes to correlate. As you can see, it doesn't quite correlate there, but as you can see on all these other ones, correlation, up, correlation, up, correlation, up, you know? So I see this, and then I'm just like, okay, you know? And so the most important thing I'd say to come out of this is mainly the 15-minute chart is your key, but I don't just want to look at the point of this line because I feel like sometimes it's like, oh, the line's going straight down, and then like, oh, a little thing happened, and now it's like straight to the moon, you know? And so I think it's a little hard to trade that with my kind of style. So I'm looking for the turf, you know? I see this is down, so I'm looking for these to both be down, and then, you know, have my arrows. Still, on that note, to go over my exact systems again, the ones I'm currently using and the ones that I advocate for because I have tested them and proved them to be over 90% accuracy with these. I mean, most of these end up being 99%, but I can say for certain 90%. Pretty guaranteed on that one. You may have to worry about the stop loss if you need to know anything about moving stop losses. You'll rarely ever have to deal with it with this strategy. Occasionally you will, so see Ghost video on that one. Otherwise, like, just you look for your 5-minute pink. If it's not with you on the 15, you know, you take your 5 pips on this one. You know, you take your 5 pips. And then you're just, you know, you're waiting for a really good entry on this when you have the 15 with you, preferably down here. And once you get a 5-minute pink, you know, it's like going your way, particularly, you know, one that's doing what the EU does here. Let's point out the one after the news event here. So this one. Yeah, okay, so this one, after it closes here. So when you have this kind of trade, I take it to here, okay? I take it from all the way down here, just all the way up to here. You can try taking it further. I would just recommend, you know, up to the 15-minute resistance. But yeah, that's basically my point on that. When you have these two and it's at a good price, you just, you know, take it up and you ride it. And while you're riding it, or while you're even riding a previous move, so as long as you have a 5-minute pink, then you can ride this up. So basically, 4 main systems here. You can pick any one of these you want. And I mean, I like the most profitable one the most with the 5 and 15 correlation, but you know, these work very well in the 5-minute trending pinks. So let's go over that trade. So just last note. Okay, we got our UJ here. That's a better example. Let's look at this. So I mean, you get this 5-minute trending pink, and you take it to the upside, right? And then you're looking for a little bounce to the downside, and then you can take this up off this because this is your anchor. Okay, remember the 5-minute is your anchor based on the pink arrow. So you're waiting and you're waiting, and you just take these little bounces up, and this is what Jazz Fran's doing all day. He may not even need these anymore. He may be just like Jazz God and just doing what he's doing, just like riding everything like crazy, like, you know, he's like BB level of awesome these days. Just saying, because I'd like to be that kind of level. Not really there yet. So scientific method of the way to get there. Just you get this 5-minute bank, you start riding it up. You take your 5 pips, and if you want to take more, you wait for the bounce. I'd say take 3 just to practice up on it, get to where you're good at that, then try 4 or 5, see what works for you. Also, then on these, I explained how this works, the news event, and that's about everything. So, I mean, yeah, I guess I've kind of bumbled on long enough, but I hope you enjoyed the video. Just tell me anything in the room. I'm here to help you guys, because the truth is that I love helping you guys. But even if that weren't the truth, even if I were the most selfish person in the world, I would still want to help you guys, because the best way to learn is always to teach. So I'm always going to try to be there to give my bias to everybody, just to, because when I'm wrong particularly, it's a good learning opportunity. So in trading, you always got to be ready to be wrong, and you always got to be ready to have some fun, because that's really what this is all about. This isn't, just about the money. It's about, it's about the community and really having the fun that you have in this room. So, I mean, with the right attitude, you can never lose, because you always learn. And I think that's where I want to leave this. So, thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you guys in the room. The Borg MT is out of here.